Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to my show, High Road to Humanity. In every episode, I tell you powerful true stories filled with great wisdom that you can use in your own life as you strive for a higher road to travel. My featured guests will have their own unique stories to tell that enlighten your mind and your soul. So kick back, relax, and learn the secret to success when you take the high road.
First touch, strong connection, it lays deep in your soul.
Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And Sharon Lynn Wyeth is here today. I'm very excited she's back with us. We are going to talk about a really neat subject. I don't know if my microphone's up all the way, so I'm going to turn it up a little bit there. We're going to talk about know the name, know your life purpose. And this is going to be a really interesting show because we are all unique. We all come here with a life purpose, and our name indicates that. And so I'm really glad Sharon is here today. But before I bring her on officially, I have to say a couple things. First of all, thanks for everybody who supports High Road to Humanity. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for my new VIP subscribers. If you're not familiar with what's going on, I am offering on my website, nancyyearout.com. I'll answer 2 questions per month and by email, and I am providing you guys with wonderful videos, and they're teaching videos, and I'm teaching you guys all different spiritual practices that I've learned over the years that I think that would be really important for everyone to know. It's $5.99 a month. It's not a lot, but it helps me and it will help you. So it's a win-win situation. So I'm really excited about that. And if you want a psychic reading, you can book there too. So it's nancyyearout.com. So what I want to bring up today before I bring Sharon on is this came from the New York Post, and the headline reads, "Midnight Runs, Biden secretly flying underage migrants into New York in the dead of night." I felt this was really important to bring to people's attention. Plane loads of underage migrants are being flown secretly into suburban New York in an effort by President Biden's administration to quietly resettle them across the region, the Post has learned. The charter flights originate in Texas, where the ongoing border crisis has overwhelmed local immigration officials and has been underway since at least August, according to sources familiar with the matter. Now, last week, the Post saw 2 planes land at the Westchester County Airport, where most of the passengers who got off appeared to be children and teens, with a small portion appearing to be men in their 20s. Guys, this is some crazy stuff, okay? So Westchester County cops stopped by as the passengers whose flights arrived at 10:49 p.m. Wednesday and 9:52 p.m. Friday got off and piled into buses. Some of them were later seen meeting up with relatives or sponsors in New Jersey or being dropped off at a residential facility on Long Island. Now, a post-analysis of online flight tracking data suggests that around 2,000 migrants, you guys, nabbed after sneaking into the U.S. from Mexico, have arrived at the airport outside White Plains on 21 flights since August the 8th. This goes on. It says records show that some of the planes touched down between midnight and 6:30 a.m. When a voluntary curfew is in effect, and when two arriving from Houston at 2:13 a.m. and 4:29 a.m. Now, let me just say something that I thought, and I'm going to skip ahead, and they're going all different places, and it's talking about it, and it's a long article, but this says, here we go. Republican Florida governor expressed outrage at the Post's finding, with the spokeswoman saying, if the Biden administration is so confident that their open border policy is good for our country, why the secrecy? It goes on. I got to just say, this is like a 5-page article. You guys got to check this out. But listen to this. A woman who lives nearby the airport told the Post on Monday that a flight arrived there around 3 or 4 that morning, and it was shaking the house and awakened her 8-month-old baby. It's been waking me up for the last months around 2, 3, 4 because of the noise. I got used to the regular airport noise, but these planes or jets sounded different, lower, more bass, and they're coming in the middle of the night. And the neighbors also said she can see the airport perfectly from her upstairs and has noticed a few buses that say out of service hanging around that aren't the usual county buses or airport shuttles. And she said the airport lately has been much darker than usual overnight. This goes on. I'm just telling you, they're flying these kids in and they're flying these people in, and who knows what's going on. Now, it did say that there was like a Catholic organization that was taking some of these people. Of course, they're getting paid by the government to do this, but it's just, I don't know. I just want you guys to be aware of what's happening. These people are coming in. Sharon, do you want to say anything?
Yes, in Del Rio, they have this wonderful video that shows that people have been taking it at the airport in Del Rio. And it's more like, instead of 2,000, it's now like 14,000 people that have been put in airplanes. And he takes these videos of daily shots of the airport. And all these people are there with red envelopes, which are their free tickets to wherever they're going in the United States. And nobody has any luggage.
Yeah, because they give them money cards, they give them phones. I mean, this is crazy stuff. And here we are. I don't know. I got to work. I got to pay my bills, and nobody's handing me free stuff or flying me wherever I want to go. And I'm an American citizen, by the way.
Yes, but all of us American citizens are paying for all of these illegal immigrants everywhere.
Right. And they're going in, and we don't know where they're going. So I just want to, I don't want to take up a ton of time, but you guys,
They've
sorry?
been mostly going to the red states because they're wanting to change the voters.
Right.
So like Tennessee is getting them, Texas is
Yes.
getting
Yes.
red states are
Yes.
getting them. And then they've always targeted the West Coast, those 3 states, and New York.
Right. Well, and you guys, this is just crazy. It just says the Washington, D.C. sets immigration policies that do not affect them, and states that lack information about migrant resettlement and do not have the authority to change federal migration policy are expected to bear the brunt of Biden's reckless open borders agenda. So it all goes by their laws.
Right. Well, and Texas literally stated that he could not deposit any more immigrants in that state. The governor stood up and said, no, we're not taking them. We're not paying for them.
Abbott, yeah. Well, this is some crazy stuff, and you guys, we need to be aware. And the only thing I know that we can do is stand up and write letters to our congressmen. I mean, if you do have a show like this, or if you have a platform where you're ready to speak, or gosh, just tell your neighbor what's going on.
Well, I would love to see everybody stop paying their IRS taxes. And if there's no money to do this with, now what are they going to do?
Where are they going to send them? They can't use our money anymore. That's a great idea. Hey, Sharon's here. I'm going to give you a little bit of her background. She's been here before. She's, let's see here. She's an internationally acclaimed nemologist, an award-winning author who specializes in guiding people by leading them towards more purposeful lives and helping them towards more meaningful social interaction in their business and in interpersonal relationships. She has a really long bio. She's written tons of books. She has her own show. Welcome back, Sharon.
Thank you, Nancy. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, I'm really glad you're here today and that we're going to talk about this. You've written both. I have both these books. I feel so blessed. This is Know the Name, Know the Spirit. And then this is Know the Name, Know the Person. And both of these have always, both of them are amazing books. But you say, and I'll let you talk, discover your contract with God in your name. You say children choose their own name. Talk about this.
Okay, when there were still only 7 religions on the planet, before I jokingly say that they multiplied and divided and everybody made up their own, okay, they all agreed on certain principles. And one of the principles that everybody at one time understood was that the incoming soul impresses upon the one that's going to be naming them what they want to be called. So we actually name ourselves. And as you go around the world, it's really interesting to see what their traditions are. Like when I was in Turkey working for a month, they literally said that the oldest male relative of the family gets to name the child.
Okay.
And so there's different traditions everywhere. I found that one fascinating, especially when one of them called me and said, okay, you were on my tour bus and I've got to name this child, and what's the right name?
My goodness, I love it.
And I always say to people, the soul will impress upon you what you are to name the child, then call me and I'll help you spell it. Because there's certain ways of tweaking the spelling that makes the same lessons that are in the name, or the same experiences, which would be a more accurate word. Okay. It's already in the name that the soul wishes to have, and yet you can make them gentler.
Now, tell the audience why it's so important that the proper name be given to the child, because it's the energetic sound as we pronounce it. Is that what this is?
It's the placement of the letters.
Okay. The
So
placement of
it's
letters.
literally the first vowel and the first name tells you your communication style and how you're going to learn, how people can sell to you, what it takes to be a long-term friend, what kind of gifts you like. There's so much loaded information just in that first vowel that I wrote my third book, Know the Name, Know How to Connect, simply off of that vowel. That if you just learn those 6, you can improve a lot of relationships.
I need to get that book.
It's free online for everybody. You just go to
Oh,
the
okay.
website, knowthename.com, any page but the front page, you can click and get the access to the book.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. Hey, we sat here and chit-chatted for a little bit, so I got to go to commercial break because I'd like to use this for the podcast. So you guys, I'm here today with Sharon Lynn Wyeth. It's Know the Name, Know the Spirit. We're going to talk about how you can figure out your life purpose. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Sharon Lynn Wyeth. We're talking about know your name and, how important it is, when you come into this world, how important your name is. I want to ask you something. Couldn't read my writing there for a minute, but as far as people who have nicknames, how does that work? And I ask you this because my first husband, oh God, in high school, his name was Claude, but everybody called him BB. And he went through life as BB and not as Claude. So I'm going to ask you that right off the bat.
Well, and I think both you could make a lot of fun of, kids make fun of other kids because of their names. Anyway,
right.
Your birth name, however it's written on that birth certificate, is literally your blueprint for this world. And it says what you've come to experience. And, everybody says you've got lessons to learn. And I think we already have an incredible amount of knowledge as a soul. And so, for an example, we all know that E equals mc squared, Einstein's theory of relativity. But we may not know where the numbers come from that we put into that formula, when we have to tweak the formula, when another formula would be better. We don't have the experience to go with the using of that formula. Okay. So we, instead of thinking of it that we've come here to learn lessons, we've got the piece of knowledge. We don't have the experience to go with the knowledge to, get the depth and the breadth of it. So we've come here to gain experiences because that's where the teaching really, occurs. And so we come with 7 main subsets of our overall theme for this lifetime of what we choose to gain. Now, because it's 7, most lifetimes it's only 2. We come with 2 things and we get.
I remember you saying this. Yeah. Okay.
So those 2 is what I call the boomerang ones. They keep coming back over and over again throughout life to get really good depth and breadth, because the first 2, because that's what we normally do, is just 2. But because we're on a cusp between Pisces and Aquarius, we get 7, which is why there's an overpopulation, because everybody wants to be here at this time when you can do in one lifetime what would normally take us 3.5.
Okay. That makes sense, Sharon.
And it's so exciting because every time there's a huge shift like this, like between Pisces and Aquarius, and between Cancer and Leo, are the 2 biggest shifts of philosophy, of land masses, of how we live our lives, of our basic belief systems. This is a huge shift. This is the big one. And then the little shift is between Leo and Cancer. Like last time, this one was when Atlantis disappeared underneath the oceans. Wow. And the last of the Leo or Cancer was Noah's Ark.
Sure, I didn't know that astrology was all tied to numerology.
Oh, it's, all of them are tied in there. People that know human design, which use, so many of the various, modalities. When they've come to learn namology science, every single one of them has told me, oh my God, you get everything that you get in human design out of namology, and it's so simple.
And that's what Claudia Trevellis, who we're having on every month to talk about astrology, she does human design. So that's interesting. I didn't know any of this. I had no idea. Continue on.
It's all in there. Even your timing, like astrology is fabulous for day by day.
Right.
In namology science, it gives you year by year.
Okay.
What's your focus this year? Where's your energy this year? What's in your best interest to be, doing this particular year? When's love life coming in? When all of that? It gives by year instead of by day. So to me, the best day by day is astrology. But if you want the overview for the year, it's right there also in the name.
Now, do you do a chart for people? Like if I would call you up and say, hey, Sharon, do my chart for the year. Do you do stuff like that?
The answer is yes, I do that. But I
Okay.
like to do it as an overview first for the lifetime. And then when people call back for more, we can go into more detail. But I think that is so important for an overview of why are you here? What's your purpose? What's your overall goal? What's your 7 subsets? Now, the first 2 are what I call the boomerangs. They keep coming around. The next 3 are what I call the one and dones. Okay. It's like, let's say you came to experience playing a particular song on the piano. Well, you got to learn how to play the piano. But then every time you want to play another song, you don't have to relearn how to play the piano. It's a one and done. I've got that
Okay.
skill. I'm good to go.
Okay.
So those are the middle 3. And the last 2 is what I call added gifts from God. And it's just, you're going to pick it up along the way. You don't have to do anything extra. It's not going to come and hit you sideways. You're just going to pick up that experience along the way.
Interesting.
So those are the last 2. And so that makes up the 7. And then when you look at the 7, it becomes very clear what your overall theme is of why you're here, what this lifetime is really all about. So that's all in your blueprint or your birth name. Now, when somebody goes by their nickname, they're simply saying my blueprint stays the same, but how I'm going about my blueprint is now different.
Interesting.
So from Claude to Bibi, what he's saying is it was all about work and working hard and not wanting to do any work unless it was fun, but I had to work hard. Okay. And then he's changing it to I'm going to be competitive and other people are going to help me. He made it easier for himself to accomplish his goals when he changed actually what name he went by.
That's really interesting. He was a fun guy. He's not with us anymore, but he was a fun guy. And so that makes a whole lot of sense. So I want to ask a question. So when you're talking about this, are you talking about the first name? So if I went into your book and I pulled Nancy and I pulled each letter, would that give me my purpose?
It's your full name. It's whatever name's on the birth certificate. It takes all the letters from all the names.
So I'd have to go back to my maiden name.
Yeah, you go back to whatever's on that birth certificate.
Okay. And it's first, middle, and last.
First, middle, and last. So the first name gives you the essence of who you are in this lifetime. The middle name gives you your immediate past life and what you're carrying in, what you're bringing in, what you finished and what you haven't finished from that lifetime, because it's one continual lifetime all the way through. We're just in and out of physical form. Okay. And then the last name is who are you attracting? Who are you listening to? What philosophies are you willing to hear, or what is your soul wanting to hear that's going to help you form your own opinion? And that's why everybody with the same first name isn't the same, because they're not bringing in the same past life experiences and they're not surrounding themselves with the same ideologies that show up in the life.
Gotcha. Now that's interesting. Now, what about a family name? Because, what if you come in as a Ford or as a Trump or something like that? I mean, is that, yeah. What if you come in with a famous, last name like that?
Well, it's the same thing. You're still attracting what is represented in that name. Now, some names carry what I want to call heavier karma. Okay. Because you're coming in with the DNA that's represented in that name. So like, let's just say, for an example, there's a lot of people that have an O in their last name, like in Europe. Okay. That means that your DNA carries a propensity to being a diabetic.
Yes.
Okay. Now, diabetes usually jumps every other generation. So you can tell then from the first and the middle name who's more susceptible to receiving that than somebody else in the family. But it already says predisposition to it because you're carrying it in the DNA, which also means you're going to be passing it to the next generation because it's in the DNA.
Well, I got to stop you because my mom was a diabetic and her mother was a diabetic. So now my sister owns a diabetic clinic. This is crazy. Yeah, I just need to say this to you because this blows my mind. My sister, she's a nurse practitioner, but I don't have it.
Well, but it usually skips a generation. So it's your kids. It's the grandkids, your mom's
that might have it. Oh, that might have it.
Have a greater propensity to it.
My daughter does. My oldest daughter does. Oh, you're exactly right.
It has greater propensity. So like all 4 of my grandparents had it. So my dad, being a doctor, was always testing us kids. Are you okay? Are you okay? Don't eat this. Don't eat that. Eat
right.
He was very worried. I have shown up for 35 years as pre-diabetic, even though my diet is very clean and pure. And it's because I also have the O in my first name. It's in my maiden name, but I also have it in my first name. So because I had it in the last name and the first name and I'm the correct generation, my blood shows a pre-diabetic, even though I don't eat the sugar.
You've kicked it. And that's how I feel. Now I have another question before we go to commercial break here. So my maiden name has an O in it, and so does my married name. So it just carried on.
It's the maiden name.
It's the maiden name.
It's the maiden
So it's
name for you.
McConaughey is my maiden name.
Yeah.
I'm a
so it's the
Scot,
maiden
you
name
know.
for you, but it's your married name for your kids.
I always think maybe I'll go back to Scotland. Maybe that's what that means. I don't know. Sure.
But isn't it great to know that your last name says where your predispositions are?
Yes.
Your first name says what you could create for yourself in this lifetime, and your middle name says what you come in with already.
That's interesting. I'm going to go back and look at my middle name because I've never done that before. And I think that would be interesting. Now, what if you don't have a middle name? Because some people don't. My dad never had a middle name. Isn't that weird?
If they don't have a middle name, it means one of two things occur.
Okay.
Either that they spent so much time in the great beyond between lives that the last life has really no influence on this life. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So they don't need a middle name because that's what's telling us what happened last time. And they've already cleared it all out, worked it all out because they spent so much time in the great beyond between the lives. Now, or it means that their life got cut short somehow and they didn't get to live out their life plan, and they turned around, like in war when a lot of people die, or a bomb and a lot of people die, or whatever, or a plague or whatnot. So then they didn't get to live out their life plan, so they turn right around and come right back in.
And so there's no middle name.
Time in the great beyond. And so they're redoing the same life plan they had last time. And so again, the lifetime before this last short life that got cut short isn't important. And so then they don't need a middle name.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Say that again.
The rest of the name tells you which one it is.
Wow. That's really cool, because I have to say, my dad didn't have a middle initial or a middle name, but he was the most amazing, kind, nice person ever. And so he probably didn't need it. He probably had already corrected everything. And that's why he was such a nice, kind person. That makes a whole lot of sense to me. It really does. Wow. I never knew that. Thanks for telling us that. Hey, Sharon Lynn Wyeth is here, you guys. It's Know the Name, Know the Spirit, or Know the Name, Know the Person. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and we'll be right back. Hi, this is Nancy Yearout, and this is High Road to Humanity. I'm here today with Sharon Lynn Wyeth. Sharon, if people want to get in touch with you, tell them how they find you.
The easiest way is through one of the websites. If you like the old-fashioned kind of website that has a lot of information, but it really looks outdated, you go to knowthename.com. That's also where access to the third book is absolutely free. And then if you like the new format where you just scroll forever, you go to thenamelady.com. And either one you can reach me.
Where you scroll forever. Oh my God. All right. So if I want to figure out my name, what do I do here? Tell the audience how they do this.
So one of the first things you do is you look for where the A's are located in your name. And you look and you say, what's the letter preceding the A? Okay. Because that's what you've come to learn. Whatever's sitting in front of an A, if you have A's in your name, those are the easiest way to pick out some of your 7. So in yours, in Nancy, you've got an N before your A. Okay. And so you usually get really, really good at those things, but that's what you come to really experience. So N is always memory and organizational skills. And so you're probably really good with a good memory and very organized, because that's where your real focus is whatever's sitting before an A. And so then you go through your birth name with McConaughey and you say, okay, is there another A in there? And your middle name, is there another A? Look at the letter in front of the A. And that tells you this is one of the main things that I came to experience and get really good at.
Okay. So in my last name, the A, so what does that mean in McConaughey?
Well,
MCCONNAU.
So again, it's an A, I mean an N, right?
Oh my God. So what does that mean if it's in there twice, Sharon?
So it really means that you had help learning your organizational skills and you had people around that demanded that you had a good memory. So it simply means you had help getting that piece and really learning it well.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
Okay, so you didn't have to do it all by yourself. So that's one of the things. Then I look for, after I do the A's, I'm looking for what combos are in there. Like for an example, a CH means you do things the hard way. So that means that you come down here to learn how to ask other people for assistance and how would you do this and how would you do this and how would you do that, and then compile the best of all the ideas and say, okay, how can I make this easier?
If your name was Charlie.
Like with Charlie,
Okay.
or with Cheryl, or with Michael, it's in the middle.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
And it literally means they have a hard time listening to somebody else. And so the whole idea is you're doing things the hard way. You've got to learn how to do them easy. And how do you do that? You got to learn to listen to other people's ideas. It doesn't mean you have to use their idea. It means you got to listen and
Okay.
take that which you can use. And even if it's nothing, you're still willing to listen.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's a listening skill that you came to see. Now,
Okay.
let's say that you have an ST in your name. That's a combination. And that means that you can be stubborn or very, very persistent. Stubborn means you're getting in your own way. Persistent means you're not giving up. A lot of people that are doctors or lawyers or things that take a great long amount of study for have this ST in their name.
Okay.
Okay. So but it really means, because it means you can be stubborn, it says you've got to learn to recognize when you are the one that's stopping you from going forward. That it's your stuff. It's not somebody else is doing it for you. We're not putting the blame out there. It's I'm in my own way. How do I get out of my way?
Okay. Interesting.
Okay. So that would be what you came to learn. So
Okay.
you're looking at that. Then you're looking at missing letters. If there's a theme in the letters that you're missing, you want to look at that and say, what's the theme of these
What do you
letters?
mean missing letters? I don't get that.
Let's say there's like for an example, okay.
Okay. All right.
In my birth name, there's no letters that represent humor. Absolutely none.
What letters represent humor?
E's and U's. Okay. And I
Okay.
don't have any combos that represent humor. So in my name growing up, I was very, very serious. I was either dancing after school. I did 2.5 hours of ballet a day, and then I did tap and aerobics on the weekends. And I did that for years and years and years. And if I wasn't doing homework, then I was reading spiritual materials.
Mhm.
Okay.
So where was the fun?
There wasn't any.
You're saying where was the fun, Sharon?
There was no fun letters in there. But you think about this whole science took me 15 years to figure out the patterns. Now, who wants to work that hard and for that long?
Right.
Okay. So when I made up my own new last name, I said, that's it, man. I'm putting fun in there.
I love it.
I
Oh
want to
my
have
God.
humor. I want to have some play and some fun. And what's really interesting in the new book that's coming out in just a month or so is Know the Name, Know the Health. And when you break your ankle and your bottom of your leg, which is what I've just done a month
I
ago.
know you were telling us about that.
But as you look in the book, I had to look up ankle. What did my research say about ankle? And it
What did it
literally
say?
says there's not enough fun in your life. You're not planning play. You're not putting the. And I
Sharon.
thought, oh my gosh, this theme keeps coming back around and again. Okay. So for an example, Nancy, when I was in 9th grade and my aunt was telling me, you never smile, you never laugh, you never play, you never, whatever. So I said, okay, my aunt says I need this, right? And I thought, I have no clue what funny is. So there was a boy in my classroom named David Landis, who's out in California, and God bless him, he's a fabulous person.
Okay.
And he was in all of my classes, and he knew exactly what to say, and knew when to laugh, and everybody would laugh. So I said, okay, every time he laughs, I'm going to laugh. And then I'm going to think what just happened before he laughed. And then I'm going to look for the patterns in what's happening before he laughs. And I'm going to figure out what's funny. Is that not crazy? But I had no fun letters in my name. So that keeps coming around. So that's what I'm saying. If you're missing like a series of letters that all go together and you don't have any of them, it's like that's what you come to learn.
That is absolutely crazy. Well, and I just want to say something. I want to talk a little bit about your books. I want to give you a little bit of praise here because these books are very spiritual, even though in the first one you don't say spirit, but in the second you do. And I marked something I wanted to read because I wanted you guys to understand a little bit about what Sharon's all about. And this is like in the beginning of her book, Know the Name, Know the Spirit. So sit back and relax a second. We can fight, we can scream, we can swear, we can be a willing participant, we can do anything we like. However, nothing we do will change what it is that the soul wishes to accomplish in this lifetime. We cannot go easily against our destiny as higher forces control such things. When we attempt to go against our destiny, when we usually live miserable lives as we have gone against the very reasons why we are here and rebelled against learning our lessons. And she goes on to say, each of us has our own purpose, distinct and different from everyone else. I just want to talk about how spiritual you are and how this comes from a spiritual place. You know, you don't talk about that so much, but I picked that up. Talk about your spirituality in this.
Well, I did not have a safe parent. And so I turned to God to say, what happened? What's going on? Why is this the case? You know, and I think sometimes when we choose challenging parents, I am so grateful for what I learned. I just jokingly say that I didn't appreciate their modalities. Okay. But I really appreciate what I learned.
Right.
And so I turned to God very early, and I started, like, I had to earn a Bible because there wasn't one in my house. And so,
Seriously.
seriously. And so I heard about this church that if you memorized enough stuff over the year, you could get your free Bible. I wish I would have known about the Gideon Bibles in hotels. It would have been easier, but I didn't know that at 13. And so I went to the church and I said, what if I memorize this stuff faster? I hate memorization, by the way. It was just torture. So in 6 weeks later, I had my Bible. Remember, there's no fun. There's just seriousness and get something done. And so anyway, then I said, how many pages in the Bible? How many pages now? It's the middle of October till the end of the school year. And I divided it and I read every night so that by the end, when I got out of 8th grade, I would have read the entire Bible. And I picked a book every year, like the Bhagavad Gita or the Book of Mormon. And every year I would pick a book and go through it that way. At the same time, I was reading anything from Jane Roberts, from Joel Goldsmith, from White Eagle, from Edgar Casey, from Ruth Montgomery, any book I could get my hands on. There were not that many spiritual books at that time, but I was hungry. I wanted the knowledge. I wanted it. Then at 18, my sister gave me, she was doing Transcendental Meditation, and she gave me those classes for my birthday. So I literally started it on my birthday at 18. I was down at the TM Center. And so I meditated for 18 years because she told me at the time, in the East, they meditate for 20 years and they get this great connection with spirit. And I said, well, I must get started then. I mean, I look back and I think, why didn't I say, oh my God, that's too long. I'm not doing that. But this is the serious part of me. And so I got started. And at age 36, I had that connection. And I actually started being a conduit for others because I could pull it in at any time and get answers for other people. And I started doing spiritual readings when I was 36. And then when I started seeing the patterns in people's names, I started seeing that at age 26, which was 10 years earlier. And Spirit was waking me up every morning at 4 o'clock. And we were having this discussion on names. And did I think about this? And did I think about that? And let me give you a hint. You know, I was guided all the way through, which is why this is so darn accurate today. Okay. It was what the Bible would call inspired. It was a team effort. And so some of us are here on mission. I don't have those letters in my name, but we've dedicated our lives to God, to spirituality, to assisting other people along the path so that life doesn't have to be hard. I don't think God said, I'm going to send you down to this planet and it's miserable and you're going to have to suffer and it's everywhere, you know, all this horrible stuff.
Yeah, he didn't want it that way, I don't think.
No, I think he said, I'm giving you this Garden of Eden and there's so much beauty and joy and everything around you, but I'm also giving you free will choice. So in free will choice, you can make it beautiful and keep it that way, or you can make it miserable. It's up to you. And what are you going to do with this? But I've given you this incredible gift because I love you so much. And the best gift of all was free will choice, because if he hadn't given us free will choice, we'd all be robots.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think that's what they're trying to do to us too. We're going to have to.
So if you look at my life all the way through, I'm now, as I look at it, just 2 years, not quite, it's a little less than 2 years away from being 70. And I just look at it and I think, I have lived this incredible life of learning where every day and every year, I have done as much as I can to grow spiritually. So when I saved my pennies from, school teachers aren't paid that well, and I was a single parent, so the pennies were very short, but my extra money that I earned from doing spiritual readings, I would take the kids and we'd go someplace. And so I've studied with Sai Baba in India, with Japu in Thailand, with Dr. Eugene Whitworth, whose books are incredible when he was still alive in San Francisco. J.J. Dewey is an incredible author. You'd love to have him on your show. Freeread.com is his information. He's somebody to really study with now.
Get him on here. Yeah.
But I've searched out constantly who's got the highest level of knowledge that I can glean from. And at the same time, meditate to get it for myself, read to get it from what other people have found. But nowadays, I find it very hard. I have to hold the energy of the book before I can read it, because there's so much garbage out there, where before they were jewels,
Right. Right.
And now it's like everybody's a wannabe. But if it's not your calling, if it's not in your contract, if it's not in your name somehow, then don't go that pathway. It's loving God is still in everybody's.
Yeah. Ask. I always say, and we got to go to commercial break here, but I just want to say, you can ask, when you're in meditation, what am I here for, or guide me. I always ask for guidance, when I journal to God, guide me and show me what I'm supposed to do. I never thought this is what I'd be doing. I thought I'd be doing real estate. Isn't that funny? I was all caught up in that material stuff. And look, here we are talking about God, talking about spirituality.
But I've never cared about finances. And so I always think, if you're doing your best at what you're here to do, then when you do your best, God does the rest.
Yes.
So I've never worried about it. It's always, and sometimes it has been so incredibly tight. I have been homeless 4 different times for over a year. My background is crazy. And yet at the same time, everybody would look at me today and go, oh no, it's fluent, it's whatever. And I thought, it's where we choose to use our resources. I mean, one of the times I went homeless was so that I could afford my kids in school. And I thought,
so what did you do?
I lived out of my car. And I can tell you how easy it is to live out of a car. I've done that 4 times.
Oh my God, Sharon.
And stuff, but it was a choice. Well, 3 of them was a choice. One was because of stupidity. I made a really bad decision. And then I went, oh my God, look what I did to myself. And I was back in my car for a year. But it's like, we make choices. And the real key to everything, Nancy, is to claim everything that happens to you in your life and not blame anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, you hear me saying, oh, somebody pushed me down or whatever, and I broke my leg and ankle. No,
that
I
happened.
passed out, but I ate that bite. I did this to me. I was homeless. I did that to me. I'm taking responsibility for my choices.
You're saying accept responsibility for your choices, is what you're saying.
And don't blame anybody.
Yeah, I get you. And I'm with you. And I did that I hear you. Because I'm kind of this is a weird time we're in right now. I'm going through difficult stuff too. And you would think, I'm the same as you, as connected as we are to the divine, we know we're going to be taken care of. It's not that. It's that, we want things to go smoother. But what I've realized, and I want to know what you feel about this, is all these difficult things that I'm dealing with and having to deal with, it's just making me grow more as a soul.
Well, I think we're constantly presented with opportunities for growth, and whether you accept them or not is up to you. But everything has an opportunity. My favorite saying is, okay, God, where's the silver lining in this shit?
I'm with you.
It's got to be in here someplace. It's kind of like that joke where somebody sees this big pile of horse dung, and this kid comes in, and everybody else is going, this is awful. And the kid starts bearing down to the bottom, and he goes, hey, with all this horse dung, there's got to be a horse around here someplace.
Oh my God.
Hey, in other words, where's the silver lining?
Where's the silver lining? So it's how I didn't know that you had gone through all that stuff. Of course, everybody has gone through stuff. We just don't talk about it. We come on the show a lot of times and we put on our pretty face and we don't talk about how tough life is. And life is tough for all of us. We all have challenges. But it's how you look at it. I will say, I can get up in the morning and think, oh my God, or I can get up in the morning and say, okay, new day.
Well, I even feng shuied my car. I mean, I got a beach towel that was
I love it. I love
turquoise
it.
and purple and put it over the dashboard, and I hung some crystals where it wasn't illegal to hang from the mirror. I hung them different places. I mean, I literally lived in my car, so I feng shuied my car so it'd be conducive to me living there.
And your
You know.
kids went to school, you wanted to send the kids to school and it was very expensive. And that's one of the reasons.
And a school teacher, you can't afford that. You know. Um,
Well, we really
my
have it backwards here, don't we?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But my daughter won a scholarship to a very prestigious college, high school. Okay. Very, very prestigious in the
Mhm.
East. And her scholarship was for the college, the high school was 40,000 a year and the scholarship paid for 33,000. I had to come up with that 7,000. Well, my son was in a specialty school for his needs, and that cost me 14,000. So you add that up, that's 21,000. And able to
Right.
give them 21,000, you have to make approximately 28,000. But my salary from teaching was only 30,000 a year. Wow. So how do you do that? You
Right.
do a lot of readings, you work different part-time jobs along with teaching, and you live out of your car.
You still do readings?
I still do readings.
Do you really?
I do those, and I do the name readings. So if you go to the website, know the name, and then you go to the services page, and then you go to the readings block, and it says, do you want a name reading or do you want a light keeper reading?
You can do it. Yeah, I've given you a reading.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was fun. We're not doing the podcast anymore because we just started talking and now it's too late. So we're just going to talk. So if the audience is wondering why I'm not pausing, it's because we just started chit chatting and we went over, but it's okay. We'll put this on our YouTube. You know, you have had such an interesting life and you're so connected to God. And I just find it so interesting that, know your name is so connected to God. I just think that's so, it's biblical and it's precious and we don't realize it. I don't think
Well,
we
I
do.
think in older times we did. I think the reason I was able to bring this through was because I knew this sometime way in the
Before.
past.
Mhm.
I had to have known it. And then it's like, how do you relearn what isn't available here now, but some part of you knows it, if that makes sense. You just,
Well, yeah, but this obviously was your purpose
well, this, and I think I have taught over 5,000 students math,
to teach.
and they have a high success rate as a whole, except for the last 2 years, once Common Core came in, which we won't even go to. I think that stuff's horrible.
Yeah.
But that's my personal professional opinion.
Why are they doing Common Core? What's
To
your
dumb us
intuitive
down,
take on
so
it? To what?
to dumb us down so we don't know how to think. You learn how to think in math. You learn how to deduce things. You learn how processes. You learn patterns. You learn to look at things a different way. And so, if you're not learning math, which to me, Common Core is incredibly difficult to learn math, where other ways are very much easier, and I had a lot more success with students. What happens is you're dumbing them down. We're not teaching our kids how to think for themselves anymore. And that to me
Yeah.
is really sad.
Well, this whole situation that we're dealing with, although I do see a light at the end of the tunnel with all of this, I know it's going to happen in the next few years. What do you feel, Sharon?
Absolutely going to happen in the next few years. And we're going to be redoing all of our old systems that were based on somebody else's purpose and their greed, and not on the individual's best choice. I think it's going to take us till 2025.
Oh.
And we may feel like we have been worn, torn, and whatever, but we're all going to be happy at 2025 to say it's over. There's no more evil on the planet. We have definitely won. I think that we're going to see progress before the end of the year in that direction. However, this is good against evil. This is not
Yes.
Republican against Democrat, or
No.
this
No.
color against that color, or
Right.
whatever. It's literally good against evil. And I think we're going to see the progress as we move along. But evil's not going to say, oh, look, we lost, you won, and we're going to go away. Baloney. They're going to say, we're going to try every last piece of us to make as much damage as we can before we're kicked out of here. And I think by 2025, they're gone.
We're going to have to fight. And, you know, I see the pilots standing up and fighting right now. I'm really proud to see that, the Southwest Airlines pilots standing up and say they're not going to get the thing. And, you know, it's nice to see people stand up. I'm proud of people who are standing up. I really am. There's a few of us out there.
We all stand up in our own ways.
Yay. Yes.
You can stand up by by considering for like the mandates,
Yeah,
they are mandates, they are not laws, and they're not even written.
I know. They're not
So if
legal either.
somebody says you have to follow this mandate, you say, where is it in writing? There, it
Mhm.
isn't. It isn't, and it isn't a law.
I
It's a mandate.
know. Well, this goes back to the Bible where they say, you're like sheep. People are like sheep following along. Do, 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 do. It's okay.
Even when I went into the hospital and they said, you need to be wearing a mask. And I said, I know. They said that to me 4 times. And my response was, I know, I know. Finally, some lady brought me a mask and I thought, I don't know if there's nanobites in there. There's something else in there.
You
We don't
betcha.
have to believe anymore. And finally, and I didn't put it on. And finally, the nurse comes and says, we will not roll you into the operating room to fix your leg until you put that mask on. I hung it from one ear. I said, okay, it's on. They rolled me in and that was the end of it.
They know what's going on. That's why so many nurses and doctors are leaving in their practices and they're calling in the National Guard, I hear on some different cases. I don't know. We better not get into this whole conversation. Don't get me started. I want to say I'm doing Nice News with Nancy on Sundays, and I haven't had a chance to ask you, so I get to ask you now. So I started out with News with Nancy. Now I made it nice. How does that change it, Sharon?
Night says in Nights is GH. Okay.
Nice News with Nancy.
Oh, News with Nancy, but I thought you said
Nice. I'm doing it nice. I changed it. That's why I'm asking you. You're the name lady. I have to ask you. So now instead of News with Nancy, it's Nice News with Nancy. And I'll tell you why I did it, because we're having this conversation. I did it because it seemed like when I was talking about some of these other things, the attitude, people were just, they need to hear some good news.
Well, nice is an interesting word because if you take away the N, you get ice.
Oh.
So it's like we can tell you garbage, or we can tell horrible things, or we can tell you nice things. But even if we tell you garbage, we'll tell it to you in a nice way.
So was it a good move or a bad move?
I like News with Nancy better.
All right, let's go back. I love it. See, I believe now, Sharon, if people want to get in touch with you, let's like I ask you, for their company name or, different things like that, can they get in touch with you and you'll spend time and you'll work on it?
On the website, knowthename.com. Go on the services page, you see 4 boxes. It's like, what do you want? Of those 4 boxes, you click on it, and then everything is really spelled out very well, what you get for what I'm charging.
Gotcha.
And the people that have learned namology science from me, that have taken the classes, a lot of them are absolutely just as good as I am. It takes them about 3 years, and then you can't tell the difference. They got it.
Wow.
And it's really interesting because a lot of them are charging more than I do, but they live in more expensive places than I live.
And so they're helping people with the names of their companies. And what else do people call you for?
One of my favorites is when they give my name readings as a birth present, a baby gift. Okay, when somebody's just had a baby. And then I always say, what's the name? Well, let me tell you what this soul is about, and why this soul picked you as parents, what they want to learn from you.
Oh my gosh. See, now that's wonderful. Now, what do? Do you just type it up and email it to them, or how does that?
No, we record it. We're time on together on the phone, and then I record it and I send them the recording.
Oh, how fabulous. Okay, I didn't realize you did stuff like that. Well, what would you like to leave us with today? We've been talking for almost an hour here, Cheryl. You and I, we were going to talk, I had all my notes here, but we kind of went off subject a little bit, and that's okay. I really want people to understand that where you come from is from a place of God. And I just want people to realize that this all came about through your connection with the divine.
Well, we all have our gifts for the divine. And once you can read a name, now I understand why I was able to do that from my birth name. But once you can read a name, you can always see somebody's gift. And sometimes it's the soul's recognition that, like when I'm giving a name reading, that it's why half the people start crying. And at first that really bothered me. And now it's just like, it is just the thrill of the soul's recognition, saying, oh my God, I am seen. I am known.
I'm being recognized for who I am.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
And so many times people will say, I wanted to do that when I was a kid. And then I was guided in this direction or pushed in that direction or expected to go in this direction. But I came in and I wanted to do that when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And every once in a while, even I'll say something's out of alignment here. Like there was this one lady and I said, I think your name was originally spelt with 2 N's instead of 1 right there, because that would make more sense to me with the rest of the picture.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, I'm sure it was 1 N. Well, she went back and asked her mom and they pulled out the original birth certificate and it had 2 N's on it. It's like, oh no, there's a story here.
Yeah. And you can see it. And that's really interesting. And that's helpful to a lot of people. You've helped a lot of people and that's really awesome. You see the kids coming back and learning math again.
Well, I look at it and I think math has to become fun and useful again. And if anybody's out there that wants to do homeschooling with your kids, I have taught out of every book that the publishers have done over my 40 years in education. And I've been on book choosing committees and you name it. And the best books out there are Saxon, Saxon. The
Okay.
Saxon books will do the best job. And you
Okay.
can teach your child yourself, and it's easy through those books. And there's more negative press on those books than any others because they are so effective and so excellent. And the people that are bad mouthing it have never taught out of it, because no teacher that's ever used it will ever bad mouth it.
Well, it's the evil again coming on in.
But it's fabulous. If you want your children to learn math, get the Saxon.
Okay. Yeah, I said it's the evil.
Yeah, it is.
It really is, you guys. It's down to good and evil. So pay attention to what's going on. I'm really glad you came here today. Anything you want to leave us with today before we get out of here?
Well, it's really important to stay out of fear at this particular time, because it's like that is an energy that evil feeds off of.
Mhm.
And it's very important to make your connection first thing in the morning and make another connection with spirit the last thing before you go to bed, even if you're so busy during the day that consciously you're not there. You've already set the tone for the day, and now you're setting the tone for the night.
Yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that's really great advice. Hey, you guys, if you want to get in touch with Sharon Lynn Wyeth, go to her website, know the name, know the person. Is that right?
Either knowthename.com or the
.com.
name lady.
Or
There's
the
a lot of
name
people
lady.
that go, the name lady person.
Okay. All right, cool. And if you want a psychic reading, go to nancyyearout.com. Hey, thanks for joining us today. It was such a pleasure. I hope you'll come back again.
Always a pleasure with you, Nancy. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, you guys, have a terrific week. This is Nancy Yearout. This is High Road to Humanity, and God bless.
Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the higher road.
Hey, you guys, join me next week on The High Road for more stories filled with wisdom, love, and hope for our future. Have a fabulous week, and know that by staying on the high road, you will make it to your destination. Visit my website, nancyyearout.com, where you can book a private session to learn how to tap into your own abilities. And check out my YouTube channel. It's Nancy Yearout's High Road to Humanity.
You can achieve your goal.